we're all aware that anti-Semitism has reached shocking levels around the world. But just when you imagined it couldn't possibly get any worse, well, it has. In fact, this is probably the sickest thing I've seen in the past 8 months. A massive pro-Palestinian mob today picketed an exhibit in New York, an exhibit memorialising the rape and murder of Israeli young people on October 7. Absolutely shocking. Israelis can't even mourn their own dead without being harassed, intimidated and threatened. The Nova Music Festival exhibit has been running on Wall Street for the past couple of weeks. It was designed both to raise awareness about the horror of the October 7 terror attacks and as a place where New York Jews could go to pay respects to 364 young people murdered on that day. The exhibit was the brainchild of October 7 survivor Ophir Amir. Now, Amir, who hid in a ditch for hours after being shot in both legs by Hamas terrorists, said he hoped the exhibit would be a tool for peace.
After we finished all the funerals we had to go to, we had to do something for our friends that everyone can come and pay their respects. And this is when the idea of the exhibit started. Everything you will see, it's original from the festival ground. All these bullet holes were marked by the police. Unfortunately, many were killed in these toilets. This is the lost and found section. Everything you see here was gathered from the festival area after the 7th of October. These are the actual cars that were burned. The terrorists came and just burned every car, everything they could. We have to tell our story and be the voices of those who are not here today.
But earlier today, hundreds of pro-Palestinian supporters descended on the exhibit in what they called a day of rage for Gaza. They screamed that the exhibit was Zionist propaganda. They asserted that no Jews were raped by Hamas fighters. And unbelievably, they insisted that the more than 300 Israelis who died at the Nova Music Festival weren't killed by Hamas, but were actually murdered by the Israeli Defence Force. It doesn't even make sense. But anti-Semitism is a mental illness, so it's impossible to make sense of it. The disgraceful protest began when crowds started chanting that Israeli young people deserved to die because they'd held a dance festival so close to Gaza. Listen to what the speaker said. Just unbelievable. And of course, the protesters forgot to mention that Gaza, a supposed concentration camp, has received billions of dollars in aid and shares a border with Egypt, which incidentally is always closed. They never mention that. But since when have pro-Palestinian protesters ever let facts get in the way of their anti-Semitism? Well, from there, the protest just became more and more obscene, if that's even possible. New Yorkers outside an exhibit memorialising those slaughtered on October 7 flew banners that said, "Long live October 7." And others in the deranged crowd chanted that the October 7 massacre was justified, that Israel could go to hell, and long live the intifada. Imagine having so much hate in your heart that you demonstrate even against peace and love at a memorial dedicated to slaughtered civilians. There's only one reason you yell, "Long live the Intifada," in front of a memorial to Israel's killed at the Nova Festival. It's because you support the terrorists and you want the massacre to happen again. It's a call for violence against Jews. But do you think Joe Biden or Kamala Harris came out and condemned it? Well, of course they didn't. They were busy with important business at the White House. And do you think the FBI, who've called MAGA supporters domestic terrorists, were on the scene at a pro-Palestinian protest, taking names and numbers? I'm afraid not. They too had other engagements this week. And as for the police, well, they were on hand at the anti-Semitism protest, but there were no arrests reported. Fortunately, however, police did successfully arrest 3 teenage scooter riders who left skid marks on a gay pride crossing in Washington at the weekend. You know, I'm beginning to think maybe William Shakespeare was right when he said hell is empty because all the devils, well, they're here. Still, while the anti-Semites raged outside, Ophir Amir and his fellow survivors from October 7 continue holding out hope.
The only thing that is stronger than hate, than fear, is love.
There's always light. You just have to look at it.
Well, God, I hope they're right.